When participating in any exercise program, there is a possibility of physical injury and an increased load on the heart, which may result in dizziness, shortness of breath, and in extreme circumstances may result in a heart attack. If you experience any dizziness or pain, stop exercising immediately and seek medical attention as required. By participating in this exercise program, you agree to freely accept all associated risks, dangers, and hazards. The governors of the University of Alberta, their officers, employees, and volunteers are not responsible for any injury or loss of any kind sustained by you while participating. Consult your physician before beginning any exercise program. Okay, so eyes closed if you wish, and we'll start with those nice deep breaths. So inhaling through your nose. If you want to pause or hold your breath at the top of the inhale for a count of 1 or 2, and then exhale every bit of that breath out through your mouth. So just taking a few deep sighing, releasing breaths. Now there's a lot going on in the world, in the planet, in our city. So let's just take a few moments just to exhaling, let go of stress or tension, worry, anxiety. That can get all built up as we're paying attention to the news and events. So just allow yourself to land in the space that you're in, land in your physical body. And you're breathing here as I'm speaking, so those deep inhale breaths through your nose. Again, pausing if you wish at the top of that inhale, and then exhaling every bit of that breath out through your mouth. And using a bit of abdominal contraction to press out that last bit of air. Just really extending that exhale. Just take 2 more nice deep breaths like that. And with every exhale, see if you can sink a little bit more into your physical body. You can set the intention to send your mind and your spirit out of your body. Just becoming present. So right here, right now, everything is okay in this moment. When we bring ourselves into presence, our stress and concern and anxiety is usually wandering off into a short story of something into the future, or maybe pondering or ruminating about something that happened in the past. So every time that happens, we just use that as a reminder to land back into our physical presence, back to the breath. So after you've completed your deep releasing breaths, just begin to expand your breath in a little bit more controlled manner. So if it is helpful to you, you can take that hand underneath the rib cage, one hand on the chest, and really focusing that breath into the belly, so the abdomen, the space below your bottom ribs. And just inhaling and exhaling. Could be helpful to bring that count to your breath. So inhaling to a count of 4, 5, maybe 6, and exhaling to that same length. You don't have to count, but if that's beneficial to you to maintain your focus on the breath, then we can do that. Keeping the chest and shoulders as still as we can, and just really taking those deep, controlled belly breaths. So after your next exhale, you're just allowing the breath back to return back to a natural rhythm. If it feels appropriate for you, you can set an intention for the next 45 minutes or so of your practice. So maybe a point of focus that would be helpful to you, what brought you to your mat today.
where you want to bring your attention to. I'm going to say where we place our attention is what we create or what grows. So focusing on the experience that we want to create for ourselves. And as you're ready, whether you're seated or lying down, just beginning to invite some small movements back into your body. So maybe that's wiggling fingers and toes rolling out through your wrists and ankles, and just taking any transition movements that you feel like you need. If you're sitting cross-legged or in any other seated position, maybe you want to change your position. If you're on your back, just beginning to slowly transition to make your way back up to seated, however you'd like, whether that's taking a few gentle spinal rocks along the length of your spine, or maybe just gently rolling over to one side and helping yourself up to seated. So meeting me at seated if you're not already there when you're ready on your own time. So as I said, we'll start with some mobility warm-up movements, and then we'll move into a little bit more of a hip opening flow. So just meeting me here seated when you're ready, and we'll just start with that side bent sit reversing option. So here's your side bent sit position, shins at about a 90-degree angle. You can always kind of open this up a little bit more, and where you can always post with your arms as you need to, and we're just going to reverse the knees from side to side. And if you want to get a little spicier, if you can maintain a nice long spine, we're just going to do that without the hands. If you don't like this movement and your hips are not happy with that, then we post with the arms. We take the knees, the feet in front, and we're just going to gently windshield or tick-tock the knees from side to side. So I open one knee and then the other one follows if we're taking that option. So it's going at least 5 to 10 per side. And I'd rather the movement be slow and a little bit more controlled rather than kind of rushing through it. If you want to press that knee down, sort of that internal rotation of the femur bone down and towards the floor, feeling that little bit more of an opening into the hip. Ensuring that we're breathing, our spine is nice and long. So if you find that you kind of have to round your spine to do the reverse, then just post the arms, totally fine. It's just a hip mobilizing movement. After your next reverse, we'll just come into a deep squat. And reminder, you never have to do anything I say or do. So if certain movements or positions are not for you, change it if I'm not giving an option that works well for you. So your heels can be lifted, or if you have something to elevate your heels onto, to come down into your deep squat so that your heels are grounded. I'm just going to take one hand to my ankle, the other elbow to the inside of my leg, and reach up. So on the same side, I'm going to do this about 5 times. So I'm going to reach up with one arm, come back to center, that same side, reaching up, getting a little bit of a twist through the spine. So if that deep squat is not awesome on the knees, with that deep knee flexion, I would just come down, take the hand, and I would twist from here. You're going to get a little bit more of a quad burner with that, and that's totally fine. We'll get the legs nice and strong. So after you've finished 5 on the one side, then we'll switch sides. So still down into that deep squat, reaching up, back to center. And if you don't have anything to elevate your heels onto, or your heels are lifted, that's also totally fine. So again, we're aiming for at least 5 reaches on one side. Good. Once you've completed 5 to 10 or so, we're going to come down into this knee hand position or tabletop. And always really good to warm up through the wrist. So toes can be tucked or untucked, whatever your preference is. I like toes tucked just to open up the bottoms of the feet and the toes. And I'm going to inhale forward, bearing the weight, shoulders over wrists, and exhaling my hips back to my heels. And we're just beginning to start to load into the wrists, because unless we're doing this daily, it's not really a thing that we may be too used to. If you want to take any other movements here in this knee hand position, so maybe you want to wag your hips from side to side, or maybe arching through the spine and extending. Just using the first few minutes of your practice to kind of assess, open up, warm up. Again, if there's a lot of weight bearing into the wrists that don't support your body throughout the practice, always feel free to come down onto the knees and work through some of these wrist mobilizing movements. So let's take the hands out to the side, or fingertips pointing out, and then we're just gonna kind of rock side to side and then forward and back in this wrist motion. Wrist or hand position rather. Maybe making some circles around the wrist one way and then the other. If we can, let's take the fingertips all the way back. Maybe your elbows are bent a lot here, and that's totally fine. And then we're just, again, gonna gently rock from side to side, forward and back. That's a lot of wrist extension. So we wanna be mindful. We wanna experience sensation and maybe some intensity, but we don't wanna feel pain. So forearms can be tight. Okay, so let's come back, and we'll come to the tops of the hands. I'm gonna point my palms face up. Again, this one, your elbows could be bent a lot, but as best we can, we're gonna straighten the arms, spreading the fingertips nice and wide. And again, that gentle rocking from side to side and then forward and back. Just doing my best to extend through the elbows, just feeling that sensation or intensity into the forearms and into the wrists. And then we'll rotate all the way out, so still backs of the hands onto the mat, still palms facing up, and again, same thing, just gentle side to side motion, forward and back. Yeah, super important for how our lifestyle is set up these days, with our hand and wrist positions on keyboards and cell phones and what have you. Good. Okay, so let's just sit back down to the heels. You can kind of roll the wrists out one way or the other, and the other. Shake it out. Okay, so let's begin our flow. So always feel free to take breaks, child's pose if you need to, modify as you need to. We'll come up to the top of our mat. So if we want to start in hand knee position, you can lift into downward facing dog and then just walk yourself to the top of the mat, finding yourself in a forward fold. And then as we inhale, we're going to lengthen through the spine, engage through the backs of the legs and the glutes, coming up to standing. And let's just take a few forward folds here. Inhaling, taking the arms high. Exhale, long spine, fold forward. Inhale, sweep the arms up. As I come up, I'm engaging through the core. I'm lengthening through the trunk. And exhale, hands to heart. And again, inhale, taking the arms high. Exhale, hinging from the top of the thigh bone, folding all the way down. Bending the knees as much as needed at the bottom of your fold. As you inhale, lengthen through the spine, finding that tension through the back body to support your inhale to stand. And again, just moving with your breath here like a moving meditation, exhaling, fold. Inhale, lengthen as you rise. Think about drawing the crown of your head forward and away from your hips as you rise up with a long, flat back, keeping shoulder blades together. Last one here. Inhale, sweep the arms high. And exhale, hands to heart. This time we're going to come all the way down. Inhale. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. So torso parallel to the floor, a 90-degree angle from the legs. Exhale, plant the palms, stepping back to your high plank. So let's round through the upper back. Think about connecting your bottom ribs towards your pelvic bone and pulling your pelvic bone towards your bottom ribs. Inhale, take a deep breath. Exhale, lift the hips high, coming into downward facing dog. So just pedaling your heels a few times. Moving through the hips, finding length at the backs of the legs into the ankles. Let's inhale, take your right leg back, squaring the hips towards the floor. Exhale, take the right leg forward and through in between the hands and lower the back knee. Inhale, sweeping your arms high. Just finding a low lunge here. Tucking under through the pelvis. Not arching the spine too much, so we want to keep the pelvis neutral as we advance the torso forward. Arms can be extended. Take a deep breath in. Just breathing here. I like to engage through the back glute, or the glute of the back leg, to open up the hip flexor. So we just want to find that opening to start here. Inhale. Exhale, plant the palms down, stepping back into your downward facing dog. Right away, let's inhale the left heel back towards the wall behind us, rolling left hip down. Exhale, left foot forward and through in between the hands. Sweep the arms high on the inhale. Just finding that low lunge. And again, the glute of my right leg, I'm engaging. Pubic bone drawing forward and up just slightly, finding the neutral bowl of the pelvis. Inhale. Exhale, float the hands back down, stepping back to your downward facing dog. Inhale, looking forward towards the top of your mat, bending the knees. You can step or walk forward to the top of your mat. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, sweep the arms high. And exhale, hands to heart. Inhale again, sweep the arms high. Exhale, fold. Bending the top of the thigh bone, hip crease. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant the palms, step back to your high plank. Again, rounding that space in between your shoulder blades, engaging through the core. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, you can do the first one from your knees, extending your hips forward, elbows into ribs, lower down. Inhale, baby cobra, shoulders roll away from the ears, pressing the tops of the feet in towards the mat. Exhale, tuck the toes, peel the pelvis away from your body as you push up. Exhale, downward facing dog. So Surya Namaskar A, Sun Salutation A, whatever variation you want to go with or are familiar with or would like to take. Let's inhale forward to that high plank. So you're rolling the spine, hollowing the belly away from the floor, and either from the knees or full chaturanga, full plank. Exhale. Inhale, press up, either upward facing dog or baby cobra, and exhale, downward facing dog. So again, whichever variation of a back bend that you'd like to take. We'll do two more. Inhale, hinging at your shoulders, shoulders over ribs. Exhale, lower elbows, squeeze in. Inhale, push up, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Always feel free to bring movement into your down dog or drop to the knees as you need to. We want to find that resting and stillness in down dog. It may not feel like a rest, and that's totally fine. So if we need to, hips over knees, extending palms forehead. If forehead can come to the mat, then we can take that variation last time here. Inhale forward, shoulders over wrist. Exhale lower. Inhale push up, upward facing dog. Exhale down dog. Inhale your right heel back. Exhale your right foot forward and through in between the hands. So we're going to set up for warrior one, angling left toes to the upper left corner of the mat. And as you inhale, rise to your warrior one. So it might be beneficial to stagger your stance so that your feet are on railroad tracks. Reaching the arms high, squaring the hips forward, lunging deeply through your right knee. Take a deep breath. And exhale, we're going to open to warrior two. Aligning front heel with the arch of the instep of the back foot. So squaring the hips and shoulders to the long edge of your mat, gazing over right middle finger. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, reverse warrior. We're going to float that left hand back to left thigh. Inhale, back up to your warrior two. Find the gaze over that right middle finger. Exhale, straighten your front leg. Good. From here, we're going to find triangle. So if you might want to shorten your stance slightly, or you can have a nice wide base for your triangle. Hips and shoulders stay square to the long edge of our mat, and then we're going to just pop the hip towards the wall behind us. So just find a couple of times taking left hip back towards the back edge of your mat, reaching forward with your right hand. So imagine the body is in between two panes of glass. Take a deep breath in, and then exhale, revolve the hands. Both legs are straight. So if that right knee begins to bend, straighten it, engage right quadricep, and reach up. Breathing. Take the hand to the inside of the right leg to peel the spine open. Good. Take a deep breath in again. And exhale, coming back up. This time hands to hips, and then we'll pivot the feet in. So heels out, toes slightly in. Nice long stance, approximately ankles under wrists. So fairly wide stance. Take a deep breath in, hands to hips. And exhale, soften the knees as you hinge forward at your hip crease. Prasarita, Padottanasana, wide-legged forward fold. So when I'm here, halfway, engagement through the trunk to protect the spine. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, come a little bit deeper if your hamstring length allows. So if we can bring the hands to the floor without the spine rounding, we can do that. Or if you have a block or a prop to take the hands to, you can use that as well. So finding some length on the inhale and exhaling, fold. One more breath here. Inhale, come out a little bit and lengthen through the spine. Exhale, fold a little deeper. Inhale, lengthen again. Take the hands to hips. Coming all the way back up to standing. Good. So from here, we're going to pivot the feet forward again, and we're going to come into a low lunge. So low lunge as we started. And then heel toe that right foot towards your left wrist or left hand, coming into half pigeon. So if the hips are quite tight, then we draw the right heel a little bit closer to the left hip. Totally fine. Right knee is close to right wrist. If you want a little bit more opening, then we take that right foot a little bit closer to left wrist. You can bring something under your right hip if you wish. You don't have to, but we're doing as best we can. We're going to square the hips forward towards the top edge of the mat. Inhale, lengthen the spine, and exhale, bow forward. We're going to do that 2 more times. So inhale, lengthen through your spine, and exhale, bow. And again, inhale, snake the body up. Exhale, lead with the heart, melt the chest down to the floor as you exhale. Inhale, rounding up. And exhale. So you can sweep that back leg around, coming out of half pigeon that way, or we can tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, and just press back into downward facing dog. From here, let's inhale forward to a high plank. Plant your right hand to the center of the mat, coming into side plank. So option here, dropping right knee, 3-point plank, left arm extends. We want hips extending forward. We don't want the butt sticking out behind us. We want wrist under shoulders. And we're taking 2 more breaths here in this side plank. Feel free to come down to forearm if needed. Good. Coming back into your high plank, we're going to switch over to the other side. So left hand to the center of the mat, reaching up. Again, lowering down to forearm if we need to, or dropping left knee, both knees, all shoulders, shoulder, knees, hips, all align with the long edge of the mat. Holding here for another 2 breaths. Lifting that top hip high up towards the ceiling. Coming back into your high plank position. Again, finding that rounding through the shoulder blades. Inhale, exhale, downward facing dog. So you're taking 3 breaths in your down dog, or dropping down onto the knees if you prefer, for your rest. Next, inhale, bending the knees, looking forward towards your hands. Step walk, or if you want to hop to the top of your mat. Inhale, lengthen your spine, half lift. Exhaling, fold. Inhale, sweep the arms high. And exhale, hands to heart. And again, we'll do that on the other side. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, plant the palms, step back, high plank, lowering down from the knees, or full plank. Inhale, upward facing dog, or baby cobra. Exhale, down dog. Inhale, left heel back. Exhale, left foot forward and through, in between the hands, rising up, finding your warrior 1. So this time, right foot, outer edge of right foot, angled down, right toes pointing up to upper right corner of the mat, and we're squaring hips forward to the top of the mat, lunging deeply through left knee. Nice and strong and engaged through that right quadricep. Good breathing. Inhale. Exhale. I'm just changing my orientation here. We're going to open up to warrior 2. Aligning left heel to the inner arch of your right foot. Still maintaining deep lunge through left knee. Tuck under through the pelvis, gazing over left middle finger. Still find that action or engagement through right quad. Inhale. Exhale, reverse your warrior. Float the right hand back to right thigh. Good. Inhale, back to your warrior 2, gazing over left middle finger. Exhale, straighten left leg. From here, triangle pose. Again, if you want to shorten your stance, If that's more comfortable for you, you can. Again, we want to still keep hips and shoulders square to the long edge of the mat and just do a couple of those little hip pops. So right hip pops back, kind of like a little hip bump. Keeping the torso square, or imagining that you're in between two panes of glass, so we don't want to kind of lean forward. We want to keep the shoulders in the same plane as the hips as we then reach through right or left hand rather. Reach, 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 both legs straight. Careful that left knee doesn't begin to bend. We can't reach any further. Then we revolve the hands, gazing up to right hand if that's appropriate. Strong through your trunk, using left hand to gently twist the heart open up towards the ceiling. Breathing here. Next, inhale, coming all the way back up. Again, we'll pivot the feet forward, finding your wide angle stance, this time interlacing the hands behind the low back. So if we can bring heels of the hands together or palms to touch, let's do that. If we can't, totally fine. We can be open, just depends on the openness of your shoulders. Drawing the shoulders down and back, dropping front ribs down, inhale, and exhaling again, hinging from the hip crease, fold forward. Heels out, toes in if they're not already. Inhale, lengthen through your spine. Exhale, hinge a little bit deeper. Engage through the legs here. So legs are straight, quads are active, lifting the tailbone high up towards the ceiling. Inhaling, finding length. Exhale, hinging a little bit deeper, maybe drawing hands away from low back. One more breath here. Next, inhale, lengthen through your spine, engage through the quadriceps and the glutes as you rise all the way back up. Release the interlace of the hands, pivot the toes towards the front of your mat. You should be still at the front. I changed my orientation. And then we'll come down into that low lunge. Heel toeing that left foot over to right hand, finding your half pigeon. So right leg is parallel or aligned with the long edge of your mat, squaring the hips forward. And again, we're going to breathe and move with our breath here. So inhale, chest lifts, and as we exhale, we're going to bow forward, leading with the heart. Inhaling, rolling up chin to chest, one vertebra at a time. We're snaking through the spine here. Exhale, lead with the chest, bow forward. Inhaling, rolling up, belly to spine. Exhale, squeeze shoulder blades together as you melt your heart down to the floor. Last time, inhaling, rolling up. And exhale, bow. To come out, we can sweep right leg around and forward, or tucking right toes under, press back, downward facing dog. So 3 breaths here in your downward facing dog, or drop to the knees if we need to. Either hips over knees or child's pose. Spreading the fingertips nice and wide if you're in your down dog. Rolling triceps in towards the ears, really pressing the chest towards your thighs. Next, inhale, look forward towards your hands, bend the knees, step, walk, or hop if you wish. Inhale to half lift, exhale, fold. Inhale, sweep the arms high. Exhale, hands to heart. We'll take one more flow here. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, plant the palms, stepping back to high plank, lower down, chaturanga. Inhale, back bend, upward facing dog or baby cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, look forward towards the hands. You can step, walk, or hop to the top of your mat. Inhale to half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lengthen, sweep the arms high. And exhale, hands to heart. So do a little standing balance before we come down. So we'll set up for dancer's pose or a quad stretch. So standard quad stretch, we would grab the outside of the foot. With this one, let's start with the right foot. So palm faces forward, your right foot. So I'll mirror you. Palm face forward. You're going to grab the inside of your right foot. So I have the arch. So the arm is externally rotated. Palm should be facing out. So coming to a wall, we need to support with balance. Let's pull the right knee back so it's at least in line with the knee of the standing leg. So we don't want to overarch through the spine. We still want to find that tuck. So pubic bone draws forward, and then we pull or kick the right foot into the right hand. Okay, so we can start here. This is totally appropriate, perfect place to be. Inhale, left arm high. And then we're just drawing tension like that bow. So we're kicking into that right hand, pulling right knee back towards the space behind us. Still maintaining that neutral pelvis. Maybe from here we begin to hinge forward. Not super important, but if you want to advance this a little bit further, we can find that hinge. Kicking strongly into that right hand, maybe bringing torso parallel to the floor. Not important though. Breathing here for 3, 2, and 1. Gently, gracefully coming back up to standing and releasing that right foot. And again, just walking it off a little bit, maybe rolling out through the wrists or the arms. Okay, second side. So again, left palm face forward, grounding down through right foot. And then we're going to pick up the inner arch of the left foot. So your left hand should be facing out. Okay, so just finding your balance, centered stability over standing left leg. Let's pull left knee back and begin to kick into left hand. Inhale, right arm high. So both thighs are parallel here. We don't have that leg flaring out to the side. We're kicking left knee directly back. And if this is where we are and stay, this is perfect. Just kicking, finding that tension into that leg, into that arm. Inhale. And again, if we want to begin maintaining the strength of the kick, then we can begin to hinge forward. Super strong and stable through that standing leg, maybe bringing torso parallel to the floor, and wherever you are, breathing, still kicking strongly. Last 3, kick a little harder for 2, and 1, gently coming back out and up. Left knee meets the right, gently release, and again walking that out. Okay, so coming to the top of the mat, we'll come down onto the floor, do a little floor work before we finish our practice here. Inhale, sweep the arms high, and exhale, fold. Final vinyasa to come down to the floor. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, plant the palms, step back, high plank, lower down. Inhale, back bend, cobra or up dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, right heel back. Exhale, right foot to the outer edge of right hand. So coming into a runner's lunge. So I have both hands planted down. We can play here. This one, I like to kind of make some hip circles in one direction and then the other. Maybe you want to come to the outer edge of your right foot, but maintain that flexion into the ankle, so toes towards the knee so that you stay long through the inside of the ankle. You're not kind of rolling on the ankle. If you want to let the right knee fall out to the side and maybe rock from side to side. Good, so just finding any movement you would like to take here in this runner's lunge, any hip opening movements. Okay, so this one you might get a little tangled, so I apologize in advance. Actually, I don't apologize. We're going to move into a seated twist from here. So I'm going to change my orientation, but we're going to tuck the left toes under and draw the left knee to your right heel, coming into a seated twist. So now I'm, my back is to you, so I'm just going to rotate around. So if you're in a weird orientation, totally fine. So here we are in the seated twist. You may want to extend your left leg. We want both hips grounded down, so totally appropriate to be here sitting up nice and tall. I'm going to post my right hand behind, lift out of my shoulder, inhale, left arm high, exhale, either wrapping arm around the knee or taking the elbow to the outside of the knee. So we want to grow taller through our spine. So the more length that we can find in our spine, the deeper and the safer that we're able to twist. So I don't want to hunch and round into this one. If I need to, hand is to the knee or forearm to the outside of the knee, or if we can, elbow to the knee. Inhale, crown of the head lifts higher, and then exhale, deepen the twist, maybe gazing past right shoulder. Good, one more breath. Inhale. Exhale, release back to center, and we'll just take a gentle counter twist here. Same position. Okay, inhale back to center. This is the all-time favorite. So double pigeon. We're going to stack shins. This is a great one for a yin practice. Yin are more sustained holds, so we can kind of find a little bit deeper opening, but we're not doing yin today, so we're not going to hold this one for a super long time. We want both ankles flexed here, so toes towards knee. I don't want to roll into my ankle, so if I need to bring my foot in, I still don't want to kind of roll into the ankle. I still want to maintain that ankle flexion, even if I have to be here as best we can. If we can get the foot on top of the knee, that's good. And if we need to post behind us, that's okay too, to get a little bit more length through the front body if this is a challenging position. We're just going to hold for 3 more breaths. Stacking the shins like fire logs. If you're super open into the hips, you may take the hands from either beside or behind you to out in front and begin to hinge forward over or towards your shins. But this is a pretty intense hip opening position, so don't feel like if your knee's crazy high up like this, and it's okay. Don't worry about it. Just be where you are. And we're breathing and we're smiling because this is good for us. Last breath, inhale. Exhale, maybe hinging a centimeter further forward if you want to advance into the posture. Deepen that intensity. Inhale, back up. And then we're just going to make our way back into downward facing dog, however you want to do that. But if you need to kind of unwind and do any kind of transition movement, feel free to do that. It's a lot for the hips. But when you're ready, just meeting me back in downward facing dog. Again, pedaling through your heels if you want to release that one that way. And then inhale, left heel back. Exhale, left foot to the outside of left hand. Runner's lunge, lowering right knee. So this is the one where you got to play and kind of move if you chose to. So I'm going to kind of like to make some hip circles with that back, like I'm drawing a circle around my back knee, one way and then the other, if you like that. And again, maybe coming to outer edge of left foot. I'm rocking side to side if that feels good. Maintaining that flexion, toes towards your knee of left foot. Again, opportunity to explore, noticing what feels open or restricted. And again, it's a practice of just noticing and finding movements into these spaces. Planting left foot back down onto the mat if you've come to the outer edge of left foot, and then we're going to move into that seated twist, and I might tangle you up again, so that's okay. We're going to tuck right toes under and draw right knee to left heel. Here we are, seated twist. So right heel can be close to left hip, but if you find that your hip is lifting up off of the ground, then we just extend right leg. We have this cross leg position, so let's find a nice long spine, posting back with left hand. Inhale, right arm high. Exhale, either wrapping that arm around the knee, drawing belly into spine, or we take right elbow to the outside of the left knee. So inhale, lengthen through your spine, grow taller through crown of head. Exhale, twist. Gazing over left shoulder, one more. Inhale, grow even taller, and exhale, twist deeper. Good, inhale back to center, gentle counter twist here. Long spine. And of course, double pigeon on the other side. Bending bottom leg. So just ensuring that that right heel is not like right in to your left hip, that your right ankle is forward. So shins are stacked, both ankles flexed. And again, posting behind if we need to. Taking the foot to the inside of the knee if we need to, but not rolling into the ankle. So I showed this on the first side. We still want to find flexion here as best we can if we can get the left foot on top of right knee. And again, if your knee is way up here, it's all good. If you need to kind of draw your bottom leg forward, ideally we're stacking shins. And again, if we have a little bit more opening into the hips, maybe we're beginning to bend or hinge forward from the hips, bowing over the shins. Again, opening up, leading with the chest if we're hinging forward. Breathing into any intensity or restriction or discomfort. Finding places where we can release and let go. Every exhale. Last breath here. Gently coming out. Unwinding the legs. And again, if you like the TikTok release, we can do that. Or even down dog and walking out through the legs is a nice way to release some of those deeper hip opening postures. Man, 50 minutes flies when you're having fun. So we will wind down onto the mat. If you have the extra 5 minutes to offer yourself for Shavasana, please take that. So let's come down onto the backs, heels in, rounding through the spine here, reaching towards your heels slowly with control, chin to chest, vertebra by vertebra, rolling down with control. You can finish with your ankles under the knees and draw the hips towards your heels. I like to just gently tuck the chin using the support of my hands. This is just sort of a thing that I made up that feels really nice on the spine. So I kind of do like little kind of mini oblique or side crunches, shoulder to opposite knee. And what my purpose or intention here is lengthening out through my spine, chin nice and tight towards the chest. And then as I slowly lower down one vertebra at a time, I have the support of my head with my hands, but I'm also gently thinking about traction through my spine as I draw the crown of my head back towards the top of my mat as I roll the spine down. And I find that creates more traction and length through the spine. So it's just a little thing if you want to play with when you come down into your resting posture. I like knees bent for that additional hip release. So the weight of the thigh bones pressing down into the pelvis is nice. But first and foremost, my favorite is Supta Baddha Konasana for a hip release, which also releases through the low back. So coming into your final resting posture, whichever your preference is, and we'll take 3 deep sigh breaths to close. Inhaling through your nose, exhaling out through the mouth. And again, deep breath in through the nose. Feel free to sigh audibly out through your mouth. And one more time, breathing in calmness. Exhaling stress, tension, lingering worry, and just allowing your breath to return back to a natural rhythm. Remember that you always have your breath and your body to return to whenever we get lost in stories and stress and worry. Just using the simplicity of connection to your breath, deepening the breath, presence in the body. It's simple. I know it's not always easy, but our breath and body awareness, body mindfulness is a super powerful way to come back to ourselves, letting the mind go. So just resting here in your Shavasana, if you have those extra few minutes. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or feedback, please, I encourage any comments in the chat box. I will put my email into the chat box if you want to contact me personally about anything with virtual classes that are occurring this fall, and anything that you wish to see or have any suggestions for winter. There's a tentative plan, but again, feedback is always super useful for us. So thank you for coming. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday, and come join us for Sculpt tomorrow with Devin at noon. Stay warm. Still pretty mild these days, so let's enjoy.